We started the Vino project when we were doing the summer camp series, right?
You know what? It was the summer of 2021. And I remember too, whenever we was talking about it, I was taking a walk and I had you on speakerphone. It was a beautiful day. And it was the first time I've been in the park in a while. It was, doing a lot of remodeling. And you brought it up. And I remember you said about like 9 different vinyls. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm with that. I trust you. So I was like, okay, yeah, let's go ahead on and do it. We was actually on a roll too. We was on a roll. And that was the thing that was keeping me very leveled. And we talked about, the vinyls and the whole remixing idea, the idea of a remix. So in my mind, when I was thinking about it, I was like, okay, how am I gonna approach this, stylistically and, conceptually, and try to get a visual on what I think it might be. So I'll get my mind and my body just kind of ready, for the whole experience. When we really went on ahead and decided, and we went to Mr. Dana, and we found we found some cool stuff. We found some gems. And initially, what we had, maybe 10 of them, because I know for sure that 2 of the originals that we got didn't make it.
Really?
Yeah, it was one of them was like a
Oh, one of them was ripped, right? Like the
yeah, and then there was a Kenny Loggins album that we had got too, and that one didn't make it because of the flow of the composition when I was working on it. And that's the only thing, like whenever I'm working abstractly, is that it has to have like a flow. It just can't just be random, mark making or anything like that. And
Mhm.
there's nothing wrong with that because a lot of abstract artists, they start off with a lot of random mark making and they find their rhythm in the style that they use. My approach whenever I create abstract art, it's a little bit different. It's really it's about flow and being able to flow stylistically and work it within the composition to where it's very visually pleasing. And if that's thrown off or whatever like that, you already know what time it is. I'm
What you
I'm throwing it in the trash.
yeah,
I'm trashing it,
yeah.
man. I'm trashing it. I don't want to have no lingering thoughts about it. I just want to just get rid of it and be able to start over from a clean slate, mentally, physically, and spiritually, artistically, conceptually, everything. I just want the slate to be clean
That's interesting.
whenever I'm using my tools to create the abstract pieces, and especially those vinyls. There was a lot of them that just didn't make it.
Mm,
And then there was
mm.
some that I almost gave up on because like I have a tendency, I don't know when to stop pushing at times. And that's one of the things that I love about John, because John knows he knows how to stop. And I have that tendency to want to keep pushing. And then sometimes when I should just leave it alone, I push. And then that push would just destroy the whole piece. But I don't get discouraged by it. I just like, oh, well, it's one of those pieces. It just didn't work. And I made a mistake. And I'm just going to go back.
So you have a piece, you think it's perfect, you think it looks great, and then you keep pushing, and ultimately it breaks, right? So you have to start all over.
Yeah,
That's just a part of the process.
that's a part of my process.
Mhm.
I know I'm not too sure about everybody else's process as an artist when it comes to like situations where the work just crashes. Everything just crashes and burns. I know for me, that's part of my process. And it was encouraged actually when I was in SCAD. My conceptual design professor, Paul Hudson, in the sequential department. And that's one of the things that he was really big on, us making mistakes. He encouraged us to make mistakes. He wanted us to make mistakes. And even when we made mistakes and we had to do presentations, he didn't fail us. He wanted us to
Mm.
really like embrace the whole process of like enjoying the mistake that you made. You know what I'm saying? It was a weird, I never really had that, there were times before I took his class that I would throw away work if it wasn't working, and I'd be frustrated about it because I got to start over. Now I got to get in this mental place to start over again. But now, after I took his class, or while I was taking this class, I learned how to like laugh and enjoy, the mistakes that I made, man. I mean, trust me, there were times where I just didn't listen to this professor, and I paid the price. That whole process really taught me how to really enjoy making the mistakes at times. It's one of the things I tell my students also, don't be afraid about it, because they get so uptight and frustrated and
Yeah.
and just mad at the world whenever they like making a mistake, because for some strange reason they just feel like they have to be so perfect and it has to be
If you
right.
can't go on the journey, if you can't create something and then make mistakes, then you don't have any knowledge gained, no wisdom gained. You have nothing to pass on to someone to say, hey, don't do this, or hey,
Yeah.
you should do this. Our original idea was to remix
Yeah.
the original cover art.
Remix the original cover art.
How arrogant.
Yes, it was, but it's fun. Like I say all the time, and what Professor Robert Cox taught me at Southern University, art is about problem solving. So that was that whole challenge right there. Okay, we're gonna figure this out to make this work. It's always like just a little pressure, but at the same time, I've been in different pressure cook situations as an artist. So I figured I'll get out of it in some type of way. I'll figure it out. Let's just go ahead on and dive in and make it happen. And usually you just have to make that first movement or that first mark, or let that first drop of paint just hit it. So therefore, you're not at a standstill with it. You're not petrified. You're not nervous. You don't have that anxiety, knowing that you're about to embark on something new, and you're in uncharted territory. So you just got to take that step. You got to make a move. So once I started making some moves on them and just kind of figuring out, but I had to be very patient with those vinyls, with the technique that I was using, and especially with like creating the textures, because once I create those textures, I have to let the vinyls and the covers sit and dry for a period of time. I was using acrylic, so you have to let it sit. So therefore, I was able to jump to another vinyl or do another cover.
Gotcha.
So I might have like 6 vinyls just kind of like drying. And then now I can go ahead on and jump and do something else. So maybe out of those 6, sometimes maybe 3 might make it. Sometimes maybe 2. And you just got to take those and just be happy that, that one or that 2 made it out of that experimental batch. Now, there was probably some, if you'd have probably seen them, you'd have like, why you don't like that one? And that's why I'm glad sometimes like you're not there to see some of that stuff.
That's one of the main reasons that it's one of the main reasons that I prefer to view the finished product.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be influenced by what I think. You don't want to be influenced by what anyone else thinks about the creation, right?
Yeah.
Did you research any of the artists that designed the original covers?
No. Like most of them is photographs, right? I think maybe
there were a few that were
looked
more digital.
One or 2 maybe may have been like actual like paintings, like drawings and paintings. But I didn't do any, I didn't do any research. I just jumped into it. I didn't do any research. I just jumped into it and figured it out along the way.
Did you listen to any of the vinyl? You didn't listen to the Kubrick?
No, I didn't listen to the Lolita soundtrack. I didn't listen to any of the vinyls whenever I was working on them. I was listening to other music though.
So didn't listen to any of the vinyls. Didn't research any of their.
Oh, I take that back. I lied. I did listen to that one of them. I listened. I didn't play the vinyl, but I listened to it on like my Amazon. I was just going through the songs and I was listening to it just to see, like what it sound like, what the song sound like. I can't remember which one. It was the first one I did with the lady on the black one. It's a black background, the face is white. The first one I listened to that. And actually that was a movie. So I looked up the movie too.
It sure was.
I was like, man, this movie, bro, the 70s, man, was just, man, I love that movie was just off the meter. I wish I could remember the name. Hold up.
What was the process in actually selecting each of the vinyls?
I just want to find the ones with the coolest covers. Something that just attracted me. I'm attracted to like really great graphic design, number one, great photography. Anything that catches my eye that I think would work for what we were going to do with the vinyls, I picked those pieces.
Well, at that point, we didn't know what we were going to do. I mean, we knew we were going to paint over them, but we didn't know what project it was going to be for. It was more like having the product.
Yeah. So, yeah, we didn't really okay, that's one thing I love about what we do whenever we organically come up with these ideas, because we don't know exactly, number one, we don't know exactly how the finished product's going to look. That's number one. Number two, your whole thought process after you see the finished product could also change on how you want to promote and market it, or what process we need to go through to show this work. So it goes through like changes each time, which is good. I think, it's always good to have checkpoints. And after that, you just let, I think a lot of times we just let the spirit just guide us.
I look at the whole process, like that process you're talking about, the idea of how the work is going to be presented, how the work should be showcased. All of that is a work of art. Like it just keeps evolving until the day of presentation. I mean, even the concept Vino and Vino wasn't the original concept.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Also, we sat on these vinyls for about almost 2 years, right? So we sat on them. They were completed. I want to say they were completed at the end. I did the last one maybe at the close to the end of 2022.
Because we had 3 different concepts on how they could be presented, and same thing with you.
Yeah.
Just throw the whole idea away. Throw it away. It's not ready.
It just goes to show you that, a lot of times you don't have to rush a project out. It just has to organically come at the right time. And when it comes at the right time, the right concept will come, and then the right venue and all these different things, it will just start to come together. So we did not rush it just because we had it done. We just didn't rush it to put it out. I didn't even post them on Instagram or none of that stuff. And if as of late, and I might post something in my stories here and there, but even I've gotten to the point to where I've just stopped just posting everything on my social media, even if I'm kind of working on it.
Why?
Well, I think people, once they see it on social media, I don't know if they'd feel the same, if they have that same excitement for it whenever they see it in person. And it just gives that air of mystery about like, what is this artist what have we been doing? What do we have, what do we have in store, or what do we have to show? But then, the con with that is that people are like, well, I haven't seen you on Facebook in a while, or I haven't seen you post this on Instagram in a while. But I like to stay, as you know, I like to stay with any project that we do. I like to stay 5 projects ahead, so that we always have something waiting in the wings that we can work on and put out. And then, there's been times whatever, like we probably could have put the vinyls out, but then there's other projects that came up that that just worked out better for certain situations. I like stuff like that. And the work that you need to show is going to be shown at the right place at the right time when it needs to. That's the bottom line. as long as you're working.
Yep.
As long as you're working.
Yep. I agree.
And we hardly take any days off on some things. And sometimes that could be good, and that could be, has its cons also. The good thing about it is that we always have that creative mental and physical muscle going. The con is sometimes, it just takes a toll on the body. So that might hinder some, like I said, range of movement when I'm drawing. And then if I think it looks good at one point, then I rest and I come back and look at it maybe a day or two later. I'm looking like, man, what in the is this? So now I got to find a way to fix it. And if it can't be fixed, I just start all over again. And I have no issue with that at all. The main thing is I'm gonna put out the work that I know represents, not only myself, but what you do as well. And that we're confident that when we put it hanging on the wall, or if we put it out as a print, or if it's going into an Airbnb or anything like that, that it's going to be something that we are proud of and confident of.
So when the idea of Vino and Vino, when you first heard it, what were your initial thoughts?
Man, I got excited. My initial thoughts I was like, there you go again.
Delusions of grandeur.
There you go again. And I was excited because it was something that's never been done. And I thought initially, when you told me, I said, this is going to be the perfect way to put these works out there. The whole thing with like,
and I wanted to have a system where everyone had the opportunity, a fair opportunity, to collect a piece. So it's not about how much money you have in your pocket.
Right. Very different. Very different.
That came because I've been having this thought about how art should be collected. It gives everyone that opportunity to collect and own a piece of art that they genuinely enjoy. We don't see much creativity when it comes to presenting it to the consumer. We just see the creativity in the work, and then everyone just hopes it sells for the most it could sell for.
Yeah, the typical way.
So that was the basic concept. Just let's present the vinyls inside of a really great, and then bumped into a friend of ours, and he expanded on the idea of let's make this a wine pairing and tasting event.
See, it just got better. Look, whenever you told me that, I was just thinking, man, just the idea is just keeps getting better and better and better.
Yeah, with time it happens.
It just keeps better and better. But the initial idea itself was just, so outrageously good. I was like, man, it's just gonna work. So my thing, I'm just looking at it now. I'm like, okay, I just want to make sure that we got enough vinyls.
now you got to make sure the art is good.
Yeah. Well, boy. Oh, the art gonna be good for sure. That's why I ended up.
Have we decided on how many?
No, we haven't. So I know.
How many do you have?
I think right now about.
Okay.
But I picked up another one yesterday though. But
just can't stop. Huh?
I can't stop, man. We was in the. I went back over into the DVD section and the music section. I'm looking at movies, and then I said, okay, let me go in this vinyl section and just see what they got. And sure enough, I found one.
How many do you want to present?
I don't know. Enough. You always ask these questions, man.